Oh, the 80s, don't you just love them? There were so many great things in the 80s. Welcome back to the last episode about 80s hi-fi components. Are they any good? In the previous episodes, I've been playing around with the system and gone through the individual components, talking a little about the features, gently nerding out on them, some more than others. In this last episode, we focus on the sound of the 80s through some more critical listening sessions through the little SBR1s here, near-field style. The first burning question: how does converters from 1987 hold up today? The rate of improvement was insane from 82 to 87, that's for sure. And it's easy for us here to evaluate the sound quality simply by using the digital output of the CD player and feed it into a modern-day DAC. I will be using the Cocktail X45 Pro DAC player thingy we have down here that actually features some pretty decent converters, sounding very modern. But what music should we use? It's such a diverse decade of music where so many artists took pride in their creativity and people bravely went where no one had gone before. After much consideration, I settled on using something suitable for critical listening, something authentic of the time. Florence Warner singing Pirate, picked from this Philips CD music sampler from 1982. This can also be considered a tribute to Miss Warner, pictured here in a very odd position on a chair, as she left us right here at the time of shooting in September 2024. Rest in peace, my love. Your music will live on right here today. This is our original, and there's impressive dynamics on this track that sounds just like it did back then. So let's get the show on the road. The built-in converters of the CD player.
Night has no sympathy, and morning finds me all alone. The only love I've ever known has sailed away and left me to my tears. And like a stowaway, a part of me has followed him, and I may never love again, for I'm imprisoned by his memory.
And modern day DAC.
Pirate, you stole my heart. Was it just one more treasure? Pirate, oh pirate,
1986.
have I lost you forever? The shadows of the past haunt me till I can bear no more of sad goodbyes and closing doors, and I retreat into my fantasy that soon he will return, and more than man becomes of me. In time we learn to be content with little things like fantasies and dreams. Pirate, you stole my heart. Was it just one more treasure?
What we were listening to here was me switching between the 86 converters and the modern day converter. And what I heard from doing that was subtle differences. It's a bit smoother, the new converter, just a tad. And the most profound thing was actually like the soundstage got a little bit bigger, and there was like more room between the elements in the music. It's a terrific recording of her voice, and that EP piano there has so beautiful dynamics and timbre and overtones, and it's all very dynamic and beautifully mixed. It's a nice, simple thing. I think it's an analog basic recording, then recorded to digital, because there's a little tape noise as well you hear. I don't know if you picked up on that back there. But anyway, great track, I must say. Wow. We need to hear the modern stuff as well, which is some more complex jazz. So let's see if the old CD player here can actually play this SACD thing that was not even invented at the time. Let's listen. There is absolutely nothing that could resemble the listening fatigue kind of DACs we had in the early 80s here. I think it actually sounds pretty smooth. There is a difference. We get a bit larger sound image. We get some more spaciousness, but it's really in the limit here when we switch in between them. Maybe you agree on your headphones. I don't know how much you can actually pick up on the sound image as such in this position. You should have a pretty good idea about it. No crazy changes to tonality or anything like that. I am impressed with the converters of this CD player and totally understand why that would be considered something special in its time. I also did this exercise with Tim Harris and Sebastian from the Silverback listening team, Blind Listening. Just have the feeling that it will sound better up here.
Quite clear to hear the distinction. I think switching between the DACs, it's much less pronounced.
Yeah.
I would say they were listening to now is the modern stuff.
Yep. Tonality-wise, I mean, when you listen to that original CD on the original CD player,
yeah,
versus through the modern day converter, you got that feeling of something being held better together, less rough edges, smoother presentation, right?
Yes.
Finer grained in some sense.
Yep.
You could hear a difference.
Yes.
The same kind of difference here?
Less pronounced, more of a lack of feeling of space.
Interesting. Try to play now. I might have switched, I might have not switched.
Oh, you little sneaky devil. Yeah.
Yeah.
The full listening sessions are, as always, made available to the VIPs. our Patreon supporters. Patreon is a community where creators like me can interact directly with supporters and set up different tiers of support that gives access to special benefits and content. Here I share behind the scenes stuff and discuss future reviews and get feedback. This is also what gives access to full-length, unhinged listening sessions and discussions where all gloves are off.
Because I had some quantization errors when playing back through the modern converter.
Next, the PRA 1500 preamp here. A great little preamp I covered in detail in episode 1. The tone control and the variable loudness circuits weren't really done exceptionally well, but thankfully they can be bypassed. And trust me, there's a noticeable quality difference when they're out of the signal path. You can engage the tone control separately, and there's even a dedicated clean headphone mode for this decent headphone output. Let's have a listen to how that sounds. I think we go back to Miss Warner here and hear how that stuff works on track 4. See how quick that goes. She comes right here. We'll just go to the portion where there's a little more action. And now listen to this. It simply turns down the level while raising the bass a little bit and the treble a little bit. But it's all relative to the volume that you might be playing at, which is kind of a mess because you have to adjust several things at once if you want some kind of listening level, average listening level. So turning the loudness knob here is actually kind of annoying, to be honest. Also, the balance function is only working if the source direct is off. Then you can use the balance button. And I actually don't know about the subsonic filter there, if that also needs the source direct to be off. Pretty interesting. Then you have some tone controls, more bass, less bass, more treble, less treble. So they are quite effective and set on some decent center frequencies, I think. It's like it's getting a little grainier model down there when we engage it, and that's when both of the controls are in neutral. I wouldn't feel that comfortable actually using that stuff. So what about the graphical equalizer then? This equipment was loaned to us by HiFiScandinavia.dk, worldwide shipping. Thank you, guys. We have had it inserted all the time with the EQ being in direct mode, so the signal is just passing through. Let's take it from the top, and I'll try just to switch it in and out up here, keeping it inserted so we don't have the little fallout there, the little dropout. It's on now.
Night has no sympathy,
Now it's direct.
and morning finds me all alone. The only love I've ever known has sailed away and left me to my tears. And like a stowaway, a part of me has followed him.
It's very, very subtle, but you can hear when it's engaged, especially when you see the button goes in, then you kind of hear it. But I'm not sure you could pick it up in a blind test just like that. So it's a very, very little price to pay to actually get the tools here. So what does the tool actually do, this graphic equalizer? Let's have a closer look at this. It's really interesting. The first thing I notice here is a kind of interesting lid. Why the hell did they put on a lid? Of course, when Daddy set his EQ, he don't want the damn kids to come in there and mess up his settings. because you can't put them in a preset or anything like that. It's not digital. But the labeling down here saying what frequency we are working with is kind of hard to see, as you can see, because we have the bottom of the lid there. That could have been done more elegantly, or why didn't you write it up here, guys? Come on. It's just like the first thing I would notice when seeing the prototype of this product is, guys, what the hell are you doing? Put it up there. But they didn't. So it's a nice little quirk of the DE70. We also have a nice little panel over here actually showing us what's going on. We get the input or output levels going through the machine. And we can also see if we have the expander or the dynamics processor engaged, and if we're using the tape in and outs, which is smartly integrated into this unit, where we actually get to choose the rec output here. So we can dub between two cassette decks, and we can record even while we are stealing our tape input here, the monitor input for the EQ. So it kind of doubles what we have capacity for. And we can monitor. This is what I actually use to switch to the DAC and switch to the tape and listen to the direct signal from the preamp here. So how does the EQ sound? Let's listen to the high frequencies.
Oh, pirate, have I lost you forever?
If you have something a little dull sounding, pick up there.
The shadows of the past haunt me till I can bear no more.
Sounds like air up here, very nice. This is great for speakers like this that can be a little hard in the top end. You could actually just take it down a little bit to remove what you feel is a little harsh. Very cool.
He will return, and more than man because of me.
And up here,
In time,
it's definitely mostly air that we hear. And up here, it's just the sparkles of sparkles up here. So effectively, this graphic EQ maybe have 10 bands, not 12. The lowest and the highest band, I think it's a little poorly chosen. But at the time, we have to remember that there was subsonic frequencies in record players and so on. That's why you have a subsonic filter here that you might want it to filter out to not destroy your little Dali speakers here. So it's all good. Very, very practical with the graphical EQ. I'd enjoyed it quite a bit in this room where there's a room mode around 46 Hertz that can be helped a little away by lowering a little bit here when the speakers are against the wall. Very nice. And maybe one speaker is more corner placed than another, giving more problems. So you could actually lower the lower bass for that speaker tucked away in the corner. Very cool and very practical. That's what I like with graphic EQs. And of course, we also just need to talk quickly about the expander and dynamics processor. That would typically be used in conjunction with recording tape, okay? Where you could use the dynamic processor and just let it hammer away on reducing the peaks in the material. And when playing it back, you could apply the expander to actually expand what you just compressed, thus actually giving you more headroom on the tape. That's what it's intended for. But you can also just play around with it and see if you think you like it better. Let's just try to program a quick sequence down here. It's kind of funny. Let's say we were doing a mixtape. You would just go program and say, I want track 4, I want track 6, and I want track 7. That updates the music calendar there, and you just go play. Really easy. Next, let's bring the M33HX here into action. There's a normal position tape sitting here, and I already opened that one. Brand new cassette, new old stock. And I also have a brand new chrome and a brand new metal tape here. So let's hear the difference in noise, the bass noise on the tape. Let's hear how different that is. Ain't much of a difference. I would love to do a pretty hot recording on these tapes using all the bells and whistles of the time. So we use Dolby C for noise reduction.
For I'm imprisoned by his memory. Pirate, you stole my heart.
Direct.
Was it just one more treasure?
Tape.
Pirate, oh,
I mean, these late machines, they were not half bad. It's pretty impressive. And this is only using the chrome cassette here. Let's bring in that metal tape.
and like a stowaway, a part of me has followed him,
Direct.
and I may never love again, for I'm imprisoned
Tape.
by his memory. Pirate, you stole my heart.
Yeah. It's impressive performance from that metal tape. You understand why they are so sought after, no doubt. But they can really take some juice in the recording levels, meaning that noise overall will be lower. The sound might also be a little bit more fine-grained. It's still, I think, the results we got on the normal tape that I will revisit now were not half bad, but it's not as capable in the recording level. So we'll have to turn it down a couple of dBs not to overdrive the tape.
And I retreat into my fantasy that soon he will return. And
Not exactly just as vivid as the metal tape here, I must say. You pick up the difference pretty fast.
with little things like fantasies and dreams.
You pick up on that? It seems way smoother on the metal tape, actually. So there's a sound quality difference in there that you definitely notice. So in the long run, you'll probably be really, really happy using a metal tape or a chrome tape. The difference is not super subtle. It's definitely something you can pick up on, but normal tapes are not as bad as they are made out to be. They were probably used for dictation and, just recording off the radio and things that was not that important. And then you would use the chrome and metal tapes, not in production anymore, in order to get your really good mixtape recordings. Wow, that was interesting. The 44A amplifiers here are completely original. They sound great. I mean, the listening team and I did A/B comparisons with modern hi-fi using an A/B switch. Okay, now we just have you guessing, okay? And you just tell me what it is, okay? It was a very funny exercise showing that this 80s hi-fi holds up surprisingly well, and even in some cases offers a more pleasant harmonic distortion. Full sessions are available on Patreon, and I'll argue if you love 80s music, it might actually sound better on a system like this. It adds the flavor that producers of the time probably was hearing while they were mixing, I'm guessing. I had so much fun playing around with and listening to all this stuff from the past. It's a fun and affordable way to enjoy hi-fi sound and connect with history. This 80s hi-fi series even inspired a playlist curated with help from the Make Hi-Fi Great Again Facebook group, digging up forgotten 80s gems while avoiding the overplayed hits. The playlist is called 80s Flashback by Stjernholm Reviews and is available on your streaming service. Find it in the link tree down there in the description, and please do suggest more hidden gems from 1982 to 1986 in the comment section to include in this dynamic playlist. That will be, of course, continuously updated for your discovery pleasure. Whew. That's it for this series, folks. I'm glad I had a sweatband on, otherwise the water will just be pouring down my face. It's that hot. But sit tight here and remember, real-time listening is actually therapeutic. That's what makes great music on a great hi-fi system so special. When is the last time you actually sat down and just listened to a full album, start to finish, without any distractions? Try it. It might just save you a shrink bill. Mark my words. Until next time, check out the other great content on the channel and go wild in the comments, okay? See you there. And now, guys, let's just listen to the system, as clean as possible. No EQs inserted, just straight from the CD player, no filtering, no nothing on the SBR1s.